know, we used to sit on the porches. You remember all that stuff?
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the best time.
Back in Cleveland. And
yeah, and sit on the porch and swing up at our Aunt Myrtle's and Uncle Roland's and Nadine's and GW's, and we would be playing at night in Cleveland, Kentucky, and it'd be pitch black because there weren't city lights, you know, and all. And you could start playing, and then you could start to see little lights start to appear, and because people could hear you, and they'd come down, about on the porch light, just about the time they get about 10 or 12 feet away, right? You know, people would come up together. We were talking about times we were down there because we got to singing loud enough when we got a little older. We were singing a little louder because sometimes that music would attract some young girls. But it was the best of times. It was the best of times.
Kentucky. Well, it seems to me coal miners sing. Some, I don't know, there's areas, and there's areas in the United States that a lot of music. West Texas, in particular, I don't know, they're not miners there, but there's something a little pocket of music.
Could be in the water.
no telling us what it would be, but Kentucky had Merle Travis. Mose Regger's famous from there. But he would go back, and we would go to these small towns, and the guitar would be there. And pass the guitar to this fellow, and he'd sing a while, and pass it over. That was just constant.
Kentucky produces a kind of a twang in the upper register that is not nasal, it's not annoying, it's just musically resonant. You know, it sounds like, I don't know, drops of clean mountain water running over the stones. It's just, it's beautiful.
The words you'd hear is "we're poor but proud," and that kind of thing is what is kind of permanent in your life, because irrelevant of what it would happen to you and this, that, you always have pride in your work and what you did do, and you did it honestly and proudly.
Kentucky. Dad had always listened to black music, and Arnold Schultz, who had taught him to play, was a black man, and Dad was very aware of gospel and the black gospel and everything, and he used to listen on the radio in Chicago, and he was just always aware of it. He sang it, sort of would sit around and sing. He didn't do it so much on radio. That wasn't the kind of material that he would do on the radio, but when he would sort of get off by himself, he used to sing the blues a lot.
There used to be stories, I don't know if it's true or not, that Ike and Mose used to go down this Arnold Schultz, is that his name?
Yeah.
They'd go down to his house and crawling under the porch and listen to him pick at night, little kids. And they'd go home and try to imitate what he was doing.
Mose and Dad used to play guitar around Muhlenberg County, picking and singing the blues at town halls and local dances. But that didn't pay the rent, so like most Kentucky men and a lot of Kentucky boys, they went down the mines to make a living.
Oh, well, it rained 5 days, and the sky turned dark at night. Well, it rained 5 days, and the sky turned dark at night. Trouble taking place in the lowlands at night. Well, it thundered and it lightened and the wind began to blow. When I get you.
That was a tradition then too, though. You got to remember, Dad started when he was 13. Father before him, was almost an indentured servant in that part of the world. And that happened here. I mean, there were the pictures I've seen of the collieries with the young 10 and 12 and 13-year-olds, little boys, I mean, with their dirty clothes, with their buckets going in the mine. That's 2 generations ago. And our father caught the tail end of that. Said the last day he worked in the mines, he was he was working in the mines when they were the picks, and actually they were even at one point, a little earlier than that, the electric cars underground had just come in. It was mules used and things. And he was loading it for paying by the ton, the coal you could load. I mean, I can't imagine it, but that was, and he said he was digging along one time, said a flame 50-foot long shot over the top of his head, and he said he packed his stuff up, and that was it. He came out of the mine.
Like a lot of folks from Kentucky, Dad took the family and headed north to Chicago looking for work. But he got jobs playing honky-tonks in nightclubs as a musician, and we got to hear a lot of the blues groups that were making it at the time.
The first song I ever learned in my life was Paper Doll, and that's the Mills Brothers. So I remember learning that in Chicago, and Dad taking me down to one of those little recording booths that they had for soldiers to write talk letters back to their folks. Hi, I'm Elmo here, and there was a little record. He made a record of that, me singing Paper Doll, him playing the guitar. He took his guitar down.
I'm living, I'll never fall again. Hey boy, what you gonna do? I'm going to buy a paper doll that I can call my own. A doll that other fellows cannot steal. And then the flirty, flirty guys with their flirty, flirty eyes will have to flirt with dollies that'll be. When I come home at night, she will be waiting. She'll be the truest doll in all this world. I'd rather have a paper doll to call my own than have a fickle-minded real I do.
Later, Dad got an offer from a radio station in Iowa, so the family moved to a little town called Shenandoah.
It surely has, and it's been a long time since the old radio days, hasn't it, Dad?
Well, a great big howdy-do to all of our good friends and neighbors. This is Dad Everly talking for the Everly family. And we're going to play and sing you some songs, neighbors, family style, also country style. And we got the whole gang on deck, Mom, Don, baby boy Phil. You know, I kind of suggest that we get the Everly brothers to team up on one here. Phil, what are you going to sing this time?
Well, Dad, we'd like to do a number for the folks, and it's called Don't Let a Love Die.
Dad was paid $50 a week at first, and when he was offered $25 more for the whole family to join the show, of course, we couldn't refuse.
Someone stole you, my darling, from me. Someone stole my love and your heart.
Yeah, Little Donnie they had a 15-minute radio show on Saturdays, known as Little Donnie, and I used to get to read the commercials or something and do right before the movie. I liked that. It was the theater, the radio station had been the fellow that was called the Earl May Seed Company. He had gone on a trip around the world, and he had fell in love with a mosque somewhere in India. Yeah. So he built this radio station to look like a mosque with minarets on each end. I mean, we went down to this big yellow building with minarets on it, and it was the movie theater and the radio station, and you played on the stage, and they sold seeds for the corn and all that. They're still there. The building is. I went to look at that building. It's gone. But what a building!
We got a standard salary, but the better you were doing with the commercial, it's like it's any kind of commercial enterprise. The better you do on the commercial aspect of it.
Yeah, well, the
better you know, the more chances you're going to stay at the station, because they could always fire you in 2 weeks.
We were on the mornings, and 5:30 or 5 o'clock. We were there for the farmers while they were milking or getting ready to milk. They would have radios in their barns, and then they would be getting up. We would get up before the bakeries opened. That's how early that was. And we would come back from the shows,
And stop at
stop at the bakery and go in the back door and get hot cinnamon buns and take them home sometimes. The dark of the night, it'd still be dark in the winter up there when we'd done our show and on our way home. And we'd go back and get ready to go to school.
He had joke books and stuff he'd thumb through and, you know, get out, you know, lines like Mexican weather report would be chilly today and hot tamale. You know.
I'd say, Dad, I don't want to sing today. I want to make up a poem instead. I want to have a poem contest with you.
You do. Now, you know I can beat you, Phil. What do you want to have a contest?
Well, I want to pick a hard subject this time. We're going to pick...
Well, you usually pick that same one. So
well, this one's difficult. It's going to be about...
How about me picking a subject?
You pick a subject.
Birds.
That's awfully easy. We'll make it about birds and grapefruit. Make it hard.
Birds and grapefruit? You mean both at once?
Both at once. You go first.
Okay, I'm going to beat you again. I'll go first. Birds and grapefruit. I wouldn't want to be a little bird that flies up so high. I'd rather be a grapefruit and squirt right in your eye.
All right. I wouldn't want to be a grapefruit and squirt right in your eye. I'd rather be a little bird and let you have it from
The family wore cowboy suits and the typical kind of things on stage. You know, not at school or anything, but, you know. But on stage we had all the traditional country and western gear. Because it was funny, too. I saw a documentary on Harry S. Truman the other day. And in '48, he did a whistle-stop tour of the United States. That's how he got elected. During that whistle-stop tour, he came to Shenandoah, Iowa, to this little 5,000 people town. And for some reason, we were going to be on the show, so we were all dressed up in cowboy suits. We didn't sing, you know, they ran out of time, and we didn't. So we spent the whole afternoon looking like cowboys, which made no sense at all to anybody.
Yeah. Dad was the lead singer, right?
Yeah.
And in those days, Dad, well, he encouraged Phil and I to pursue it as a duet because, I mean, guitar players weren't really happening in the 40s and 50s. Like, you know, the singer was out front, and if you could do that, if you're a writer, that was where the business was. And Dad wanted us to be in the business. I mean, we treated it, Phil and I don't remember anything else but show business. We grew up in it. Food in our mouth came from it, you know, whether it was lean or fat, you know. It came from what we did as music, you know. We didn't learn it from anything else.
But my favorite was Lefty Frizzell.
Oh, my love is real for my mom.
I still think he's probably the backbone. I think most all country singers, all the ones you really know now, are derived from a Lefty Frizzell. I really do.
You know, you can even hear a little bit of Lefty Frizzell in some of the songs we sang.
You cheated me and made me lonely. I tried to be your very own. There'll be a day you want me only, but when I leave, I'll be a long time gone. Be a long time gone. Be a long time gone. Yes, when I leave, I'll be a long time gone. You're gonna be sad. You're gonna be weeping. You're gonna be blue and all alone. You regret the day you seen me leaving. 'Cause when I leave, I'll be a long time gone. Be a long time gone. Be a long time gone. Yes, when I leave, I'll be a long time gone.
really sort of discovered who Hank Williams was. I wanted to be like Hank Williams. I wanted to write songs and be that. So, I mean, I knew, nobody else at my age knew what they were going to be when they grew up, but I did. I mean.
What you got cooking? I'm about cooking something up with me. Hey, sweet baby, don't you think, baby, we could find us a brand new recipe?
Yeah, Hank Williams to me was different from all the rest of the country music that I'd ever seen. Hank Williams had this intensity and beat, just moved, and he wrote some wonderful things.
Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up to me?
Well, of course, I liked Little Richard and Chuck Berry. You know, we really wonderful. The things, the songs of Chuck Berry is marvelous, and Little Richard, same thing. But Bo Diddley had this wonderful primitive rhythm.
Something was happening then. It wasn't just that music was changing, so was the look and the feel and the style.
How do you define taste or style? Really, sometimes it's hard to do. It's minuscule, and it really has no definition. It fits your sense about yourself, and it says something to you that says nothing to somebody else around you.
What you're calling stylish, I might call cool. Now, when I was growing up in high school, there were 3 people in with ducktails. And that was Don and me and another kid. But at the school we went to, people pegged pants. You pegged your jeans, you know, you cut them down, and the whole school had a sense of cool, and you turned up your collar.
The music then was going through a real major change. The orchestras and that era was ending. Records were beginning to rock and roll, and people hated rock. You either hated it or you loved it. Well, Chet came through Knoxville, Tennessee, and Dad had had a correspondence going with Chet through writing and mutual admiration, I think. And he took us down to meet Chet. And we didn't get inside the show or anything. We just met Chet through a big old chain-link fence.
I played a fair in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Ike, I had heard of Ike and knew of Ike, of course, before because he played a similar style guitar to what I play. But he came to the fair and talked to me through the wire fence, and he said, I've got some boys that are writing and they're singing, and said they're very good. And they were outside the fence looking up at me through the fence. And I didn't realize at the time they probably didn't have money to get into the fair. I should have taken them on in, but I was a little dumb at that time about that. But anyway, I met Ike, and he told me that, and then a few weeks later they came to Nashville.
He said, sure, come on over. We went out to his house, sang him some songs, and he, fine, go take them. I'll try to get some published for you. He just said he'd do what he could. First of all, there was always that thing of we hadn't made it yet. The EVERLY family was going to make it one day. You know, we were plugging at it. Going to make it. Going to make it. And it was, they'd made it, you know, and that was the lure of Nashville.
Nashville was pretty much the mecca of country music, and of course we were doing that strange brand of country and some of that other things that we've been listening to.
We were working, first of all. We were already working musicians. We were just trying, Phil and I wanted to get on records. I mean, that was the thing, get on records. And any way we could do it, what we would do. I mean, we liked all kinds of music at that point. We were trying to make it in a field as we saw it. The early days when we were here, in '57 was our first appearance. It was wonderful. I mean, of course, it was the top. There was no place else. This was the mecca of country music, and this is what we had wanted and what we had been standing outside. And one month we were out there, and the next month we were here. And that in itself was a phenomenon as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, and actually, you know, because Dad and them had always aspired to hear.
Well, they were here, and they saw it.
Yeah.
And so it happened.
It was great.
We knew that we were becoming popular in more than just country music. And no, it didn't faze us. And you were apprehensive till we got out there, and I felt that the acceptance was complete. I remember encoring here one time, 4 times, coming back, and the crowd not stopping they just kept applauding. We come back and sing "Bye Bye Love," maybe half of it, 3 or 4 times again.
And to encore on this stage is like because all the other acts are on stage, and when you encore on this stage, you've done something.
Bye bye love, bye bye happiness, hello loneliness, I think I'm gonna cry. Bye bye love, bye bye sweet caress, hello emptiness, I feel like I could die. Bye bye my love, bye. There goes my baby, there's no one new. She took happy, I feel like blue. She was my baby, she stepped in, goodbye to the romance that might have been. Bye bye love, bye bye happiness, hello loneliness, I think I'm gonna cry. Bye bye love, bye bye sweet caress, hello emptiness, I feel like I could die. Bye bye my love, bye 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 my love, bye 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 my love, bye.
We came in, we were doing a Grand Ole Opry tent show just to make a living in Mississippi, which is, I mean, real tent, where they pitched the tent every night and we'd play and so forth and so on. And when Bye Bye Love came out, we were on tour down there. And I do remember driving back, we were riding in the car back to Nashville, and as we came into the outskirts of Nashville, they turned on the Nashville radio, and Bye Bye Love was playing, and it was in the top 10. That felt like something, because that was a long way from the tent show we just played, and it looked like, that felt like something.
Hello there, I'm Chet Atkins, and you're about to enter a place where country music history was made. For many years, Studio B served as RCA's prime recording studio in Nashville. It was a time in which the Nashville Sound was born, and countless country hits were recorded.
Darling, you can count on me till the sun dries up the sea.
We felt, Phil and I have always felt, and I think we feel that your approval of us in town made it possible for us to even remain here, because a lot of people didn't understand what we were doing, but if Chet Atkins said it was okay, the respect of the business in this town, I tell made a big difference.
I've got one talent, and besides playing the guitar, I play guitar fairly well, but I've always been able to see greatness in other people. I really have, and it helped me a lot when I worked in these walls here and signed a lot of people and recorded a lot of people, and I knew a good song. I knew a good song, and I knew a good artist when I heard them.
Chet introduced us to Wesley Rose of Acuff Rose Publications, and he in turn introduced us to Archie Blyer, who had a record company called Cadence.
Archie had met Boudleaux when he was down there, because Boudleaux was writing for Acuff Rose, and Boudleaux, he looked at some Boudleaux's material and found Bye Bye Love, and they had pitched the song.
The first time that I actually met them was after they had signed with Cadence Records with Archie Blyer, and I went out to the office to show them songs. And that was my first experience with actually hearing them and realizing what talents they were.
Wake up, little baby, wake up. Wake up, little beauty, wake up. Both things down the street. Wake up, little candy. The movie so dirty, oh, it's like candy. We're in trouble deep. Wake up, little baby. Wake up, little baby. Well, what are they gonna do, mama?
gotta go.
They had that Everly Brothers sound that they'd had all their lives, and they didn't think of copying anyone or trying to sound like anybody else.
Being a part of the musical family, it was easy for me to appreciate the idea of the brotherly blend. All I did when I was a kid was sit and sing with my brother and sister and my father, and I loved it. There's a natural blend that occurs among siblings or among members of the same family.
Your vocals, you know, your physical makeup that makes the sound, it should be genetically similar. I think that it's the ideal way. And then you have the way you pronounce words, the musical influences, your choices, and what you actually enjoy. All of those things, all of those variables are more attainable because you're brothers.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. It wasn't so hot, it didn't have much of a drop. We fell asleep by good sisters, got a reputation, got wake up, wake up, well, what are we gonna do tomorrow? What are we gonna do in the sun? What are we gonna tell our friends? Ooh la la, wake up, little Tuesday. Wake up, little Tuesday. Wake up, little Tuesday.
Oh, I remember working in this studio. One time we spent an hour or so or 2 hours trying to get the sound right on the tom-toms. And at that time, folks hadn't used toms in records that much. I mean, where you play a fill on the toms during the song, and I thought that was very different at the time, and I wondered, where did they get the idea to do that? That's good. And I don't know where you got the idea to do it.
Well,
Jerry Allison.
Jerry Ellison with the Crickets.
Were they doing that?
Yeah.
Well, he came and played with us.
On the road, and the thing that we sort of recalled was the intro to Peggy Sue, the paradiddle. That was a really effective intro. And when he came into the studio with us that time and brought a full set of toms and everything, we decided to incorporate it in the song to like Christian instead of using like a guitar to go through it. So he tuned him to the thing, and it worked.
Yeah, that was great.
It really worked well.
I kissed you. Oh yeah.
We tried then to go on something else. We always tried to, the next time in, we would try to, we got to be different. And Chet would help us. Chet was always experimenting too. I remember when Chet came along with the tremola that really was unknown at that point. It was not, you couldn't buy an amplifier with it in it. And he graciously said, here's for All I Have to Do Is Dream.
Dream, dream, dream when I want you in my arms when I want you and all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. Dream, dream, dream when I feel blue in the night and I need you to hold me tight whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. I can make you mine, taste your lips of mine, anytime, night or day. Only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. I love you so, and that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream. Dream, 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 dream.
Everything was running by so fast, we never quite got a sense that we were famous. It was just too busy. It was always fun to be recognized, but you really can't take recognition too seriously. You get a kick out of, screaming girls and signing autographs, but from the inside looking out, there's no such thing as fame.
It was an innocent, such an innocent sound. Do you remember your first love? That's what the Everlys felt like. They felt like that all-encompassing feeling, that one that'll burn you up if it goes any further. That's what they were like. That's what their music was like. Their sound was like, it was virgin. And it felt like true love.
Guess by now you know that I'm devoted.
What do you think about when you're singing, when you're making a record? In harmony singing, there's so many details to put your mind to. Now, you know what the words mean as they go through your brain, but you let your subconscious. I don't think that if you think, I think if you were down and sit and sing a song and you think, I love you, and you thinking, how does love feel? I don't think you can do that. You have to kind of just sing.
I want you to tell me why you walk out on me. I'm so lonesome every day. I want you to know that since you walked out on me, nothing seems to be the same old way. Think about the love that burns within my heart for you. The good times we had before you went away. Oh, me. Walk right back to me this minute. Bring your love to me, don't send it. I'm so lonesome every day. I'm so lonesome every day.
When you finally get somewhere and when you actually had a hit record, and you have to know the times. In the times in the late 50s, it still was, you know, that people were anti-hair, you know, anti-long hair. They were anti-rock and roll. And so there wasn't any of that, wow, this is a plateau that you can depend on. It was more like, we got to do something, next thing. It was really more a constant next to maintain. It was never really a relaxing period where you could sit down and say, we've made it.
And now it's time for you to meet our guests this evening, two handsome young boys who have really stood the record business on its ear. Up till now, they've sold something like 15 million records, and they're only beginning to hit their stride. Let's give a big welcome to those two wonderful, talented kids, the Everly Brothers.
This morning, Lucille was not in sight. Asked my friends about her, all our lips were tied to Lucille. Please come back where you belong. I've been good to you, baby. Please don't leave me alone.
Tennessee Ernie was the first show they really treated us like we were more than this necessary evil.
Well, that's good. Now, look, I don't want to sound like a Dutch uncle or anything like that, but you two boys are doing great now. And a lot of things are happening, and I hope that you're putting a little something away now for your old age, like when you're around 25.
Oh, sure. Everything we make goes right into the bank.
That's right. Into the bank? Good. Well, what do you do for spending money?
I borrow from him.
What do you do for a little spending money?
He pays me back.
I think we better get back to yep and no.
Actually, we learned the value of money a long, long time ago.
Did you?
When we were young, things were kind of tough.
When we were young.
Young things were kind of tough, and when Dad taught us to play the guitar, all we could afford was one for the three of us.
The three of you? What'd you do, take turns?
No, the three of us played it at once.
The three of you at once? That's like three men milking the same cow. Somebody's going to be pulling on somebody's finger.
Look, you be Papa.
How did you do it?
It's easy. You be Papa, and we'll show you how it's done.
I'll be Papa. I would have to be Papa. What did Papa do?
Well, he played on these two strings right here.
Up here?
The third
With
one.
a pick. And you played up there?
Uh-huh.
What do you do?
I play on whatever's left over.
Well, that's... Now, Papa played here. What'd you play?
We played kind of a blues. Just kind of a blues beat. Be fine.
Well, let me see if I can find it. And Papa played about there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for goodness sake. Yeah. Papa know this? I'm a rattlesnake daddy and I rattle where I please. Yes, I'm a rattlesnake daddy and I rattle where I please. And when you hear me rattle, better get down on your knees. Here we go. I rattled last night, the night before. I woke up this morning gonna rattle some more. I'm a rattlesnake daddy, yeah, from Tennessee. And when you hear me rattle, you better let me be. You better let me
We were with a new label, and they had paid us a lot of money and this, that, and the other. And we had already cut an album, and during the weekend they had been wanting to put out, you know, each one of the cuts, you know, like there'd been a couple of cuts they wanted to put out that as a single, and we kept saying, no, we haven't got one yet, you know.
I had a bit of trouble with Bird Dog, I must admit. I went, but it sure sounds good, got a good beat to it, you know.
He's a bird, he's a dog, which we thought was the corniest idea of the century.
Johnny is a joker.
He's a bird.
A very funny joker.
He's a bird. He's a dog.
He's joking, he's so funny.
What a dog.
Johnny is a joker that's trying to steal my baby.
He's a bird dog. Here we go. Hey, bird dog, get away from my quail. Hey, bird dog, you're on the wrong trail. Bird dog, you better leave my lovey-dove alone.
Didn't want to sing just about teenage miseries.
And it's also a principle of rock and roll is to go ahead and do something different every time.
You better find a chicken little of your own. Johnny sings a love song like a bird. He sings the sweetest love song you've ever heard. But when he sings to my gal, oh, what a howl. To me, he's just a wolf dog on the prowl. Johnny wants to fly away and puppy love my baby. He's a bird dog. Johnny gets a teacher. He's a bird. He gets good up to read her.
What a bird.
Well, he's a teacher's pet now.
What a dog.
What he wants, he can get now.
He's a dog.
He even made the teacher let him sit next to my baby. He's a bird dog. Hey, bird dog, get away from my quail. Hey, bird dog, you're on the wrong trail. Bird dog, you better leave my lovey-dove alone. Hey, bird dog, get away from my chick. Hey, bird dog, you better get away quick. Bird dog, you better find a cheeky little of your own.
We were still cutting on 2-track, 1960, see. All this stuff is pretty much live. The techniques were changing, too, though. I mean, I think Temptation was an attempt to be 12 tracks before 12 tracks. That was what that was about. I mean, we used every guitar player in Nashville. I remember sitting there, but there was like 7 or 8 tuned just slightly out, so they'd get a bigger sound. And
You came, I was alone. I should have known you were temptation.
Kathy's Clown, you walk in, and I mean, it was first they were pressing us really desperately for a record then, because it was our first record on Warner's, and they said, the guys, now we don't have Archie, they don't have this, they're not going to do it. They're not going to cut them up with anything. And we kept pitching the songs, go in the studio. We wouldn't go in, finally. I started a song called Phil Over. He came over, and we hashed it out, and went into the studio and told him we wanted to, and basically, like, it comes from the really walking, marching thing. You know, here he comes.
Don't want your love anymore. Don't want your kisses, that's for sure. I die each time I hear this sound. Here he comes, that Kathy Clown. I've got a sense of, you know, a man can crawl. For that he knows he tells lies, and he lives him passing by. He's not a man at all. Don't want your love anymore. Don't want your kisses, that's for sure. I die each time I hear this sound. Here he comes, that Kathy Clown. When you see me shed a tear, and you know that it's sincere, don't you think it's kind of sad that you're treating me so bad, or don't you even care? Don't want your love anymore. Don't want your kisses, that's for sure. I die each time I hear this sound. Here he comes, that Kathy Clown. That Kathy Clown. That Kathy.
Was in the business, there was no other place to go. If you were number one at a record field, where was there to go? I mean, down. So, you know, everyone says, well, they got to put them in the movies. Well, I didn't want no part of the movies. I found that out right away. I mean, to me, being an actor, it was like, I mean, they were more successful putting actors into singing positions than they were singers into acting positions in those
We were
days.
also having a pretty good time out in California,
Yeah.
you know, goofing off, you know, during that thing. And we went to that acting school for 3 months, so we weren't touring. We were like, it was like a party to us.
Don Everly used to come down to the Troubadour and sit in the corner and just dazzle all the girls, and we were all just with our chips because he was so good looking, and we thought he was very charming. I particularly thought he was charming. I had a terrible crush on him. I'm sure he doesn't know it to this day, but he's going to find out if he ever sees this.
I've been made blue. I've been lied to. When will I be loved? I've been turned down. I've been pushed round. When will I be loved?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, calling out on the stage here, 2 United States Marines, the Everly brothers, who've just finished their boot training out on the coast. So let's have a wonderfully warm welcome for them, will you? The Everly brothers. Glad to have you back on our show.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I understand you put on 20 pounds?
That's right.
Ah, well, you look great.
Thank you.
Sing a number there for Colonel Glenn.
Be glad to.
I had thought this through, and I said, you know, Marines sound like death to me, you know. And Donald had said, yeah, but, and he did say this, he said, yeah, but you know, they got those, he said shiny helmets too, which I never saw a shiny helmet in the time, you know. An expression that the DI told us in the beginning that wound up being a very truism. He says, when you finish boot camp, he says that you'll find this, he says, you wouldn't do it again for $1 million, but you wouldn't take $1 million for the experience. Yeah. And that winds up being absolutely true.
I'll never let you see the way my broken heart is hurting me. I've got my pride and I know how to hide all my sorrow and pain. I'll do my crying in the rain. If I wait for cloudy skies, you won't know the rain from the tears in my eyes. You'll never know that I still love you so, though the heartaches remain. I'll do my crying in the rain. Raindrops falling from heaven will never wash away my memory. But since we're not together, I pray for stormy weather to hide these tears I hope you'll never see. Someday when my crying's done, I'm gonna wear a smile and walk in the sun. I may be a fool, but till then, darling, you'll never see me complain. I'll do my crying in the rain. I'll do my crying in the rain. I'll do my crying in the rain.
The industry had become conscious that there was a tremendous amount of money in the music, and so they were trying to manufacture hits and teenage idols and things like that.
Well, is this any good? And almost, there was also that attitude, maybe this isn't, maybe they're slipping. There's always that attitude. They were waiting for you to slip.
And then the Beatles hit town.
The only pressure I felt, everyone says, geez, the Beatles sound an awful lot like you. And I said, well, what can I do?
They were accepted by the establishment in a way that we never were. After the Beatles arrived, our music maybe was considered passé and old-fashioned.
Pressure to put out 4 singles a year, whether you needed them or not. Yeah. I mean, there was that. The fans will forget you. You know, better get another record out.
When your records aren't doing as well, you're aware of it. Of course, any fool would be.
In the '60s, we were never able to break that into that record thing at all. No matter what music we pursued, I got stoned. I did everything trying to record something. I said, there's something I'm missing in this whole thing. Got a second record stone, so that didn't work. but it, you know, we just would never accept it.
Way down in Bowling Green, yeah, prettiest girls I've ever seen. A man in Kentucky sure is lucky. Love down in Bowling Green, yeah. Bowling Green folks treat you kind. They let you think you're on mine. A man in Kentucky sure is lucky. In Bowling Green you walk your own line. My Kentucky sunshine makes a heart unfold, warms the body. I know it touches the soul. Bluegrass is fine, Kentucky owns my grass I've ever seen. Yeah. A man in Kentucky sure is lucky. I lie down in Bowling Green, yeah. Bowling Green girls treat you right. They wear dresses cut country tight. A man in Kentucky sure is lucky if he's seen a Bowling Green night. Kentucky sunshine makes a heart unfold, warms the body.
Phil and I, for a while, was working 7, 8 months a year, 9 months a year, and so that takes up the year. And if you do that for a period of 20 years or something like that, you've got a big chunk of your life has been spent traveling.
And you could hardly pack it in. There was too much pressure to keep it going. There always is with something that is successful enough to keep it working worldwide for years.
Being a duet in the music business, and especially the kind of duet Phil and I are, you know, close harmony and nose to nose right up on the stage there every night when we were working. That takes a lot of strain on the relationship.
I just wanted away from it, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, and I would find myself saying, well, geez, is this really what I want to do every day for the rest of my life?
I needed a rest. I'm away from it. I really don't think that you should pursue it to the degraded, you know, to the material becomes just, I'm tired of that song. I don't want to do that anymore.
The real pressure in that was the business. It's the business. We had more to worry about than that. You mean like sibling rivalry, continuing past adolescence all the way into adulthood? No, it's more the pressures of business.
Well, it really finally finished one night at Knott's Berry Farm in the summer of '73. I don't know, maybe it was destiny or fate or our own personalities or maybe a combination of everything that finally brought the curtain down.
It's a lesson too late for the learning, made of sand. Soul is turning in your hand, in your hand. Are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be of goodbye? Well, I could have
not been one that has that, boy, I've got to get up on stage and shake my leg. I can't listen to the radio very long without taking up a guitar and singing. I have that in me, but periodically I will get an urge to go play, and I would go do it. But I'll go 2 years without performing in front of somebody. It would be, and it wouldn't bother me too much, because I would make music at home, and I was always satisfied.
I was sort of amazed, you know, to be off the road for the first time that I could remember. It was the first time we could explore new directions on our own. I spent a lot of time just sort of living, I think, an ordinary life, which I hadn't done before. We both got a chance to perform with a few different musicians.
Never felt like this until I kissed you. How did I exist until I kissed you? Never had you on my mind. Now you're there all the time. Never knew what I missed until I kissed you. I kissed you. Oh yeah.
It's always been the same old thing. You got me dangling on a string.
We decided that maybe we shouldn't see each other for a couple of years, and we both went our own separate ways, writing songs and recording and doing personal appearances by ourselves. And you know, before we knew it, 10 years had gone by.
Just go on loving you patiently. We used to have good times together.
The time away from each other gave us a chance to explore new areas in our lives and in our music.
Slip away.
I don't think that either of us expected a decade to pass.
It makes me cry to see love die. So sad to watch good love go bad.
Come on, we're holding it. Yo, I'm just I got it. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the EVERLY.
I'm here. Good afternoon.
How are you?
Was this a personal reconciliation as well as a professional reconciliation for you?
Yeah. You can't sing together unless you have a personal reconciliation.
Oh, no,
I mean, you know, it would be pointless to.
Actually, at this point, I think we decided to be brothers first, and the act comes second.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, the act became more important than our personal lives, and I felt, Phil felt, and we both. It was more important to be the Everly Brothers than to be Don and Phil.
Can you please tell me when you first started singing together again in preparation for this, and how you felt at the time when you heard your voices in harmony again?
We did that in Nashville. Phil came down about, what, 3 months ago? 4 months ago? Well, he came, before we ever sang together, we started seeing each other, you know, and just hanging out, like two people do, two brothers do. Going to dinner and having fun.
Kentucky. You are the dearest land outside of heaven to me.
There's a lot of feeling down here that there's a lot of love in the family. And Don and I come in and out of Kentucky on a rare basis, but our families here, we always could depend on the family. We could always depend on the family love. And all those things are permanent.
This is a local Hall of Fame or something?
Oh, this is everybody that's anybody on the. There it says. Well, someone, you know, has put on. There's Captain Charles Fox Wing, but this is Muhlenberg County, our home. There's a picture of the old mines.
Yeah.
You see, here's Alexander Cater, Corky Withrow, and the 1945 basketball team.
Travis.
Looking here.
General DeBuell and the Everly brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Long live Dixie.
I miss you, Laurel, and your redwood tree. When I die, I want to rest upon us.
Now you stand up there, we'll just stand around. You see, this is the last one right here. And isn't he precious? 91. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. I don't really call it melancholy. I think it's just the basic truth. Life is full of both happy and sad events. You know, love and death and losing and winning. But now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
How come it's 10 years? Why this year?
Just seemed right. And when we were going to do it and deciding to do it here, it was like independently we both had wanted to do at the Royal Albert because it's a special place for us, you know. So it really kind of seemed to be everything was coming together at the right times, the right moment. We had played there with our father, and I think it was an important thing. I got a chance to see him take that guitar style that he brought out of Kentucky all the way to this fantastically beautiful venue and see him getting a standing ovation. And it's just such a fond memory. I'm just glad to be there.
The English and the Americans and the music, we came over in '57 when we were just kids, and they really seemed to almost sometimes understand it quicker than a lot of the people, and especially the media, understood what rock and roll was about before they did at home. This can only happen really once in a lifetime, to spend that much time really sort of doing other things and then coming back together. I mean, that's never going to happen again, so like this. And so that's one in a once-a-lifetime moment when we walk out on stage. We've not been on stage in front of an audience in 10 years.
We were very young, and you can hear it in our voice. We were good at what we do, you know, but we were young. And now I think there's a lot more maturity in our voice, and I think it's better.
You can sing the blues at 20 and be blue. You can be sad at 20. But when you sing the blues at 40, you've got 40 years of blues and 40 years of sad, and it's sadder. But then at 60, it'll be some other way.
There can't be nobody else recording. We're all here.
Music has always held up. There are songs like All I Have to Do Is Dream and Let It Be Me, which will probably exist, you know, long after I'm dead.
Right, and then there's just a yeah, blam, we're done.
I thought that you could go anywhere with rock and roll, and it's been proven that you can take whatever you want to call it rock and roll, but whatever that movement was in the music, from that step from big bands, orchestrated music, to the youth movement in the late 50s, if that music then grows and goes on, do they still call it rock and roll?
They are musically extraordinary because they are entirely together when they sing, and they anticipate in a way what the other one's going to do. And
they have the ability to just change the mood and bring the tempo down and sing slowly and beautifully. Very few rock artists can do that. They can hold a hall like the Albert Hall. It's very difficult to get any kind of atmosphere.
Thank you. Don, please, Phil. Gentlemen, can you stand up so we can see you? Can you stand on the chair?
We flew over from LA for the concert, and I'd do it again tomorrow.
I guess I started listening to him when I was about 16. I mean, that's as far back as I can remember, and I've always absolutely loved them, so I was really happy to see them back together again.
Well, as a vocalist, just like the voices, I mean, they've managed to keep their voices, you know, throughout 25 years of rock and roll, and they still sound like, you know, two birds with crystal clear voices. Amazing.
Well, they're the most wonderful unit to me in the whole world. When I was a little boy, I mean, the Everly Brothers were there, and I was listening to all their records, and they're responsible for me being here. You know, so magic.
I kind of mark it up to fate, the times, and something had moved around, I guess, inside, and just seemed right.
This can only happen really once in a lifetime, to spend that much time really sort of doing other things and then coming back together. I mean, that's never going to happen again, so, like this. And so that's one in a once-a-lifetime moment when we walk out on stage. We've not been on stage in front of an audience in 10 years.
I bless the day I found you. I want to stay around you now and forever. Let it be me. Don't take this heaven from one. If you must cling to someone now and forever. Let it be me. When I'm with you, love, I find complete love. Without your sweet love, what would life be? So never leave me lonely. Say that you love me only, and that you always let it be me. Say that you always let it be me.
Hey, Don. Thanks so much, Don.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait.
Here, I got a pen.
I got a pen. Hold on.
You got a- I got it. I got it going. Here we go. Watch your step. Which way are we going? Yeah, this is up. I'll tell you what. Yeah. You should be the end of me. Coming up, please, Don. Yeah. How about you?
Okay.
Done?
Okay, here we go. Done.
Okay. Watch yourself.
Wait.
Easy, folks. Easy. Diane, go on. Everybody's pushing on.